Hello everyone, welcome to the class of business environment. So we'll continue with the new economic policy. We'll just pick up our class where we had dropped out yesterday. So we were discussing about new economic policy of 1991, right? We saw the salient features of and what are the objectives of new economic policy. Now let's see that what impact it made in the Indian economy, what kind of influence it brought or what changes it brought. See, before that, the industrial growth rate which was noticed in India was very meager. It was 1.7% in 1992. But just over in next decade, in 2007 and 8, it had increased to 9%, which was a big jump and which was giving a new direction to the industrialization which was happening all over the country. The other thing which was noticed was the industrial structure was much more balanced now, because those public sectors were poorly performing before 1991. There was nothing known as globalization, and only two three industries were performing well. All others were getting converted into sick industries. So there was a kind of loop-sided or imbalanced growth, but it brought a balance in the economy. Then the another impact was of industrial reforms, which got reflected by the investment envisaged, both domestic and foreign. Envisaged means the word envisaged means to predict, to forecast. Okay, so those reforms could be forecasted, could be predicted in the form of the capital, in the form of the investment which was coming, whether it was domestic investment or it was foreign investment. So that was a kind of, and it was getting a good response from the private sector. Sorry, it's response, not response. So private sector, it was getting encouraged and it was giving a very, it was showing thumbs up to the new economic policy because there were many favorable things for the private sector. Now let's see. So what were the merits we noticed here? There was liberalization in the economy which was happening. So that was making industry more competitive, right? Our economy, all the industries which were performing in the economy, those were becoming more efficient and more competitive. And by abolishing the licensing policy, industries could concentrate more on their business rather than focusing on the approvals and that tedious process. They could focus on the actual working or actual functioning of their businesses. So they were getting more, their time and energy was getting utilized in operating the business rather than going for the paperwork. So abolishing the MRTP Act will enable the companies to expand freely. We know that MRTP Act, which was existing till 1991, it was repealed, it was removed, it was abolished, and then Companies Act in 2003 it came into existence. Okay, after MRTP Act. Then reform relating to the public sector like privatization and transferring SIC units to BIFR, that is Board of Industrial and Financial Restructuring, will improve the performance of the public sector. Many public sectors were getting converted into SIC units and those were referred to the BIFR. And then BIFR, with the help of BIFR aids and help, those were reviving those SIC units. Some SIC industries were getting revived and they were coming into the track again. That another thing was that liberalization of foreign investment, which was 51%, and it was increased to 100% in case of export oriented units. What was happening? On the one side, we were talking about the Nehruian model that, we just have to promote our economy. So we should not be doing anything which involves the role of outsider or foreign economy, right? So that's why what happened. Nehruian model was that Gandhian and Nehruian model. This spelling is, sorry, it is NEHU here. It means that what about that patriotism which we were talking about till 1991? So suddenly the phase got changed. Then government had restricted the work of MRTP commission. That commission which was set up was only to promote the, to take care of the competition. They were not supposed to do anything related to the private business. Although in the beginning this commission was set up so that it was a permanent body which had to just review periodically. They had to review the work and the working and functioning of the businesses. They had no other rights or no other, they could not uh, prevent them, or they could not put restrictions on any unfair trade practices which were happening, because first it was converted into MRTP commission, then further it was fully replaced by the Competition Act in 2003 or 2002. After that, it overlooked the unemployment. They were just talking about globalization, they were talking about liberalization, but somehow the problem of unemployment in this policy was neglected. Then it also ignored the provisions which facilitated the exit provisions. Exit provisions in the sense, once you entered into the business, anytime you entering an exit, on for entry there were many policies, there were many rules, there were many laws, but how about the exit provisions? Those were missing there. Then labor problems were ignored. They were not given due, attention. Then little role to research and development. It was not promoting the innovativeness or the new technological development and research. Fine. So on this level, if we conclude, the government policies and procedures in 1991 period aimed at industrial development of the country, but the enactment of the IDR Act procedure laid down by obtaining, इसमें basically if you see, no, there were two distinctive objectives of new industrial policy, which made it stand out from rest of the industrial policies. First was redefinition of concept of self-reliance. That means we were talking about the self-reliance. They said that indigenous technologies, indigenous development of production capabilities. What do you mean by indigenous? Indigenous means anything which is getting produced at local level, or your local technology or local production capabilities. So those indigenous development should be made, so that you don't have to depend on the foreign technology. So if all the industrial goods which the industry was demanding, those, rather than importing from outside, if you could produce all these industrial goods indigenously, then that would bring the self-reliance in the economy, right? And then second distinctive feature was international competitiveness. It was for the first time that in new industrial policy, explicitly it came out in front, and it underlined the need for the domestic industry to achieve the international competitiveness. Before that, this word was not existing anywhere. Okay. So this talked about the competitiveness at the global level. So two features: redefinition of concept of self-reliance and the international competitiveness. And then how these two objectives were achieved were by taking the steps which were taken by the government. First was public sector dereservation and privatization. Many industries, first the number was 18, then it was reduced to 10, then 8, then 7, then ultimately only 2 are under the private sector now. So that means that was a kind of de-investment which government was making. It was removing the investment from the public sector, and it was converting it into private sector, into private organization, right? So in the beginning, that PSUs, they could hold only 26% or lower amount than that. More than that was not allowed. Another was that SIC units were referred to BIFR, right? Private sector mein how did it happen? Then de-investment was made, and privatization was encouraged. After that, after public sector dereservation and licensing, there was industrial delicensing. After privatization, it was delicensing. Then now licensing norms were loosened up. There was ease in that. They were not required to go for many approvals and licenses. So that was another supporting factor to achieve the two major objectives. Then third one was amendment in MRTP Act, that was replaced by Competition Act 2002. Then liberalizing the foreign investment policy. foreign investment policy in the sense, be it foreign direct investment or foreign indirect investment. In the beginning, FDI, which stands for foreign direct investment, it was very limited. It was not allowed in all the sectors also and in all the industries also. But it was made much more open. Okay. Like in the beginning, only 24% of foreign direct investment was allowed in the equities. But now it is even 100% is allowed. The only thing is to all the activities and through all the in all the sectors. The only thing is there is some list of sectors or some list of activities in which are exempted from this. So other than the activities or items which are falling in that list, there is 100% FDI allowed right now. Then FARA Act of 1973, it was also repealed and it was converted into Foreign Exchange Management Act, okay, 2000. And then that was basically to, so that a foreign investor could freely enter and invest and operate industrial enterprises in India. It was to make the free exchange with the foreign investors. Then foreign technology agreement, where foreign technology were welcomed in India, and there was free transfer of technology was allowed. Then there was dilution of protection of small scale industries. See, in India, what has happened since 1948, small scale industries, they hold a very unique status in Indian economy. They have been gaining all kinds of protection. They are getting all kinds of aids and subsidies, and government is focusing on those small scale industry, that somehow this sector booms up and it blooms, and it could kind of bring a regional balance in the economy. But on the other end, it was found that it is an unnecessary focus. Rather than providing the protective measures to the small scale industries, those industries should be made more competitive. So what had happened, all the protection measures were taken out for small scale industry which were provided, those were removed, which were only exclusively for small scale industries, and they were provided that they should be more upgraded technologically also, financially also. Let's make the small scale industry more upgraded and more competitive as compared to providing them, making them dependent on the subsidies and aids. So let's make them more competitive and more efficient, right? And they were almost 400 or 409 to be precise items which were falling under the head of small scale industry. Like any industry, if it is producing these 400 items, that would be termed as small scale industries. Or they could set up an industry and they could produce any of these 400 items, right? But in 1991, those items were also reduced from 409 to the number was reduced to only 358 items, right? So those dilution had happened in case of small scale industry, and the emphasis was on the competition, right? Other than that, if we talk about some recent financial and economic reforms, right? So see, in pandemic, everybody is well aware what is happening. Recently, our Nirmala Sitharaman, our finance minister, she has announced many series of changes or many series of economic reforms in Indian economy. See, this agriculture or this farmer protest which is going on, it is also a part of the reforms which have come up. What government has tried to see, it as although it was opposed by government, but it dismantled all the state control over the agriculture markets, right? And agriculture, almost 41 to 42% of Indians are employed in agricultural activities, and another 20% are somehow indirectly dependent on agriculture, right? Agriculture based industries. So these reforms which have been recently made there, other than that, many labor laws have also come. A series of labor laws have come that are designed to streamline the regulation related to labors. Like they have simplified the labor laws, but they are saying that we need to provide protection for laborers while increasing the flexibility for employers. So they have talked about even the hiring and firing policy also. What was happening earlier, an employer, if an employer was firing some employees, it was acting as a big hindrance, right? Which was not acceptable. But now those norms have also been loosened up in case of labor laws. So hiring, firing, it has become adequate safety and health protection to be provided to the laborers. Then collective bargaining power when laborers come together, be in the form of union or just in the group form, when they come together and they try to bargain with the employer, that has been diluted recently. Okay, and this is in terms of labor we are talking about. Other than that, if we talk about aerospace, see, government recently got some reforms for aerospace industries, for agriculture, for labor, for your, what do you call, aviation, airport, for your defense, for your coal mining, right? These are the, and your social infrastructure projects. So we have discussed agriculture, labor laws. We know now what are the changes being made. If we talk about aerospace, private companies which are dealing with aerospace or satellite operations or rocket engineering, they didn't have an access to ISRO, but now that access has been provided, right? They have been provided now, and in fact the limit of FDI, which was that was in defense, but I guess more airports have been privatized. 6 more airports. Earlier also some airports were privatized. Now 6 more have been privatized, and more airspace has been opened up, and private sector is also allowed now. Private sector is allowed to invest into this. Then talking about the coal mining also, there is a term called as blocks. Blocks means that geographical area where the mining is done, from where coal is taken out. So in some metric tons or metric square tons, those blocks have been increased, and the procedure to hold that, in that also private sector is allowed to enter and to take possession of those blocks, so that they can do the coal mining, and that is been done to protect it, so that the import of coals can be reduced, right? It becomes self-reliant in case of mining. Other than recently, there are 5 restructuring phases which are going through in this pandemic. So government is giving packages. So this was the fourth package was of US billion to 66 billion US dollars, which was given as a fourth announcement out of those 5 phase series, that it was to give a economic relief to the Indian economy. And that out of these 6.8 billion US dollars will be used to build new coal evacuation infrastructure. From there coal can be evacuated. So there it will be invested. Then defense manufacturing also, where non-Indian investors were allowed only to invest 49% in the equity so far. But now recently Nirmal Sitharaman has announced that limit has been increased to 74%. That means non-Indian investors can invest up to 74% in defense manufacturing also. They can have a stake of 74%. Then other than that, social infrastructure projects which come up as a economically justified project, okay, but they are lacking in the financial capex, they are lacking on the financial aspect. So those economically justified projects will also get a cap of 20% capitalization support, and in fact many social infrastructure projects, they will get 30% of funds from the center government will be providing them this support to them, right? So these are some of the recent economic and reforms which have come. in pandemic, in this fourth announcement, almost 20 lakh crores have been, this is what I told you about, in US dollar, 266 billion. So this is how they are trying to, government is trying to make a balance between the, on the one side it is dealing with the pandemic, and the other side is, it is also trying to, cope up with the sagging economy which India is going through, a economic slowdown which we are going through. So it is providing packages, and it is focusing more on divestment, and then promoting it with the help of making it more open, right? So other than this, if you have then agriculture, we talked about labor, we talked about social infrastructure, defense, aerospace, coal mining. So these are some of the recent reforms which have come up recently. Other than that, if you have something on your side, you can add into it. So this is all about our topic, NEP and recent financial and economic reforms which are happening in Indian economy. If you have something to add on, you can please come up.